Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Regrouping Gaming. As some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Polar Night. So y'all, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up and let's go! Someone sabotaged the control panel, whatever it is, the electric box. I placed a hand on her shoulder, trying my best to be reassuring while also impressing upon her the imminent danger. It sounds like power is still coming from somewhere. If that shorting is anything to go by. June, do you know if this ship has a backup generator or batteries?
Yeah, there's a backup. In fact, I think I can hear it.
My hearing was a little phased by the constant loud electrical bursts, but as I strained to hear, I heard a soft low rumble from one of the side rooms. Okay, before we do anything, I need to turn it off. Can you take me there? No voice was...
Do you think you can fix it, Garrett?
No idea, but I need to turn off that backup before I can get near it. In the meantime, could you two... I gestured to Sherif and Dana. Look for the breakers. It should be a big cabinet with a series of switches, kind of like what you'd find in your house, just bigger. They exchanged dubious looks, but thankfully didn't argue. Oh, before you go, I assure you I have no intention of touching anything, Garrett. I ignored his attitude and followed June towards the side room. It was dangerously close to the sparking equipment, which now I could see seemed to be a control panel near the main generator. I had an awful feeling in the pit of my stomach that whatever was damaged was not going to be repairable, at least not without Joseph. Wherever he was. The backup was a dinky-looking piece of crap, rattling and vibrating. The engine room itself was dark, and I didn't know enough about the ship engines to really judge their condition, sparking control panel notwithstanding. But this thing looked like it was moments away from rattling itself to pieces. I slowly reached for the power switch, half expecting an arc to zap my fingers before pulling the switch down. Instantly the backup generator stopped, and with it the sparking. With the absence of the constant electric popping, the ringing in my ears began to fade.
Okay, now what?
Now I need to go take a look at the damage.
Listen, I need to go look for Joseph. He could be hurt or...
She trailed off. In all honesty, June wasn't going to be much use to me now, and it was clear her mind was focused on him. Okay, where are you going to look, just so we know where to find you once we're done?
I'm going to search the machine shop just opposite the door we entered through. If he's not there, then... I guess the crew cabin's the only place I can think he could be.
A sense of vertigo came over me as I felt the ship roll beneath my paws, making me grab a conduit to stop myself toppling over. Okay, fair enough. I need to get to work. Be careful, okay? Come back here if you find him.
Okay, good luck.
She gave me a weak smile and left through the door. When I entered the engine room again, Dana was waiting for me.
Found something.
She hefted a metal toolbox. Outstanding, just what I need. Anything else?
I think I found a cabinet like what you described. But I can't be sure because it was near the sparking thing. I'll show you. Is that thing gonna start sparking again?
No, the power is off. I mean completely this time. I shone the torch around, noticing the horse was nowhere to be seen. Where's Sherif?
I don't know. He was near the back corner of the room last I checked.
Sherif? I called out, peering around the machinery. It was when I noticed. I couldn't see the light from his torch. The engine room was spacious enough, but not enough to play hide and seek.
Sherif, stop screwing around!
Silence. Oh, 1 second, y'all. Water time. Weird shit going on on this ship.
Can you fucking believe this?
Alright, look, show me to this cabinet and I can make a start on it. Then you go take a look for him, okay? I saw her tail thrash a little and her lip twitch. I was getting the impression she didn't like being told what to do. Fortunately, she relented, turning and leading me towards the panels that had previously been showering sparks everywhere.
This one here.
She shone her light on a tall cabinet with an upper panel of large switches and a red button under a plastic protective flap.
Is that what you need?
Scanning it with my torch, I squinted at the labels and warnings. A pull-down handle near the red button was marked Charge. The labels above the switches had a bewildering series of names consisting of more like names like C2 or forward BPS. Yeah, forward BPS. But I finally found one I could understand. Radar control. Rudder control, that's it!
So what do you think? Fixable?
Can't say yet. I need to take a closer look. Why don't you look for Sherif?
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you about something first.
Her sudden tone shift gave me pause. About what?
Guess.
God, even now of all time, she couldn't resist being an asshole. Sherif?
You think he's on the level?
I met her eyes, trying to figure her out. She gave nothing away, watching me with her laser-like gaze. I don't know. She didn't react, but she did glance around, suddenly concerned for any potential eavesdroppers.
I heard what happened with Stefan.
What did you hear? was getting frustrated with her vagueness, and the tilting and low roar of the weather was not helping. She looked a little taken aback by my snapping at her, but I could swear I saw a slight smirk.
Stefan was taking pictures of him in his notebook, and he lost his temper.
His notebook? Stefan wasn't taking pictures of him or his fucking book. He was taking pictures and Sharif overreacted.
How do you know?
He nearly decked him. I was there.
No, I mean, how do you know he wasn't taking a picture of his notebook? Because he said so?
Her mouth opened to retort, but as it hit me, I realized I couldn't really answer her truthfully. And her face took on an infuriating, smug grin. Why would he lie about that?
You said the same about Sharif to him, didn't you? I overheard you last night.
She kept watching me with a piercing look, making me increasingly feel like I was being interrogated. What exactly are you getting at?
It's weird you trust him but not Sharif. You've heard his weird rantings, right?
I wouldn't say I trust him. He's harmless. Weird, yeah, but...
Again, how do you know?
If you have something to say, just fucking say it. I've had it up to here with this cryptic shite. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, I regretted it. The last thing I wanted, that I needed, was an argument. Yet she watched with a curious look, analyzing me in a way that nearly set me off again.
Just don't take Stefan lightly. Someone that delusional isn't reliable.
It's a bit harsh. He's clearly trying to cope with his brother's death.
We're all trying to cope.
Her voice raised a little in anger before she visibly deflated, closing her eyes as she fought back whatever she'd been about to say.
I'm just saying, believe whatever you want.
Anything else I'd wanted to say was interrupted by the lurch of the ship. I took the toolbox from Dana, set it on the floor, and started examining the panel, ignoring her indignant look. The upper panel seemed fine. There was no damage I could see, although all the switches were off. They'd probably tripped and whatever the hell that sparking machine blew up. I sank to my haunches, examining the lower part of the cabinet, and... Christ on a bike! The lower part of the cabinet held what I could only describe as an absolute disgrace of a nest of cables. I could only stare for a few moments as I tried to figure out just how to even begin examining what was happening down there. Who fucking maintains this? Silly question, of course, but was Joseph really responsible for this? Sylvia clearly had technical issues, but this looked like someone had rearranged the entire contents using moon logic. Parts of it looked like cables had been pulled out of something, and others looped around and entwined each other so much I couldn't even begin to figure out where they went. Others had been patched together in possible repair jobs, but the two sides of the wires were in different colored insulation, meaning they couldn't have been the same original wire. Second, y'all. Water time. This couldn't simply be an accident or incompetence. I gave my head a shake and leaned in, gingerly tugging at a bundle of cables and angling the torch to see better inside. I'd need hours and a manual just to figure out what was happening. I was about to stand to try restarting the power without touching the wires when the ship suddenly lurched beneath my feet, tilting to the side and causing me to topple. Oh, fuck! I barely caught the edge of the cabinet, sparing me from being thrown across the room. This is really bad. The storm must be going mental up there. The thought of being trapped down here in the event the ship capsized or started flooding gave me a moment of pause. Maybe I should find the others and get the fuck out of here. But then I remembered that the ship had no communications. If we abandoned ship, there was no telling how long it would take for help to arrive, and I didn't fancy our chances on a lifeboat out there. Particularly not a Sylvia lifeboat, if literally anything else about her upkeep was to go by. I muttered under my breath as I examined the panel. Maybe it just shorted out and needs restarting. Dana, did you find Sharif? Dana! I looked up and shone my torch behind me. I knew I told her to go find him, but surely she couldn't have gone far. For fuck's sake, Dana, if you and Sharif are fucking with me! Neither of them seemed the types to play pranks, especially not in this situation. Where could they have gone? I decided to focus on repairs. Everything else could wait. Judging by the state of the switches, everything had been tripped. Probably something similar to last night, when the sonar had tripped out the lights. I pushed each switch up to on in turn. I lifted the start button slap and pressed it. A loud clunk sounded, then... Gah! The damaged panel behind me issued a shower of sparks, briefly illuminating the area and scaring the shit out of me. Looked like it was too much load. I needed to try switching stuff on bit by bit. The switches had all tripped again, so I peered much closer to the labels, trying to figure out what I should prioritize. Let's just get the engine working. One by one I squinted at the cables until I found one reading props and another marked rudder. Assuming the second was for the rudder, I pushed the two switches up and repeated the power on. There was a loud clunk followed by a low hum as the engine beside me rumbled back to life. Yes! My heart leapt as the rumbling grew louder and more intense, drowning out every other sound. I wanted to leap for joy and tell the bridge we had engine power, but with no communications. Given how the engine was making my ears ring and my brain vibrate in my skull, I figured they had to know by now. With the main priority dealt with, lights would be very nice. As my hand reached for the switches again, I reconsidered. Getting communications up seemed next most important priority. I could live with the dark a bit longer if it meant we could call for help. Locating the switches for the communications was more difficult. The names of the switches were mostly cryptic, but not incomprehensible. C2? Eyeing the switch, it was the only one that came even close to communications as far as I could see. What the hell, I decided to give it a try. My ears were starting to hurt from being next to the engine. Flipping it up, I paused for a moment, flinching. I anticipated a potential spark storm. Nothing. I assumed it was for comms. I wouldn't know for sure down here. I could only hope the bridge. Only hope the bridge now had contact with the outside world again. Maybe getting the lights back up would be the next best. Garrett! Did someone just say something? The roar of the engine was all I could hear. Fuck, my ears would be ringing hours after this. I scanned the switches trying to identify something that might control the lights, just as I felt a hand on my shoulder. Garrett! Oh. Ah! There, looking both furious and alarmed, was a huge bull. Joseph! My heart hammered in my ribcage. His alarm faded and the fury on his face became ever more apparent. What's doing? I could barely hear him over the engine. I leaned forward, picking an ear and cupping a hand. What? The fury on his face gave me pause as he loomed over me. Oh, God. I think I was doing like a kind of a Russian accent for Joseph. What are you doing? What are you doing in my swamp? No. Even with the engine, I could hear the outrage in his voice. Before I could say anything, though, Dana and Sharif both materialized. Is control!
Where? Fucking...
Joseph finally snapped and banged a huge fist against the cabinet by him, drawing our attention. He jabbed a finger toward the door and beckoned us. I swallowed. He looked pissed. On the way out, he flipped a couple breaker switches and the lights popped back into life. Whatever relief I felt was short-lived as I saw the look of fury on his face. We followed him up the narrow stairs in silence. Sure enough, my ears were ringing. The moment we got to the top of the stairs, Joseph rounded us and bellowed. What were you thinking playing with the engine? You could have been killed! Recoiled, raising my hand defensively. I just fixed the... You could have blown up half the ship's systems. It's delicate. You don't know what you're doing. Despite his fury, I bristled, resentment pushing a snarl from my lips. Now wait just a second. Where were you, Joseph? Joseph blinked, as if only just remembering Sharif and Dana were there. Sleeping. I am only an engineer on ship. I can't be on duty always. Oh, one second, y'all. Water time. God, it's hurt my throat.
Are you for real? You were asleep during all that?
But this time, the rumble in my chest turned to a full growl. My lips peeled back and my blood raced. Where the fuck do you get off lecturing me? The huge bull hesitated, looking a little uncertain. He pointed a finger at me and started to speak, but something snapped, or rather my jaws did. My fangs clacked together as I gave a threatening bite at the air, causing him to pull his hand back like he touched something scalding hot. That fucking disgrace of a breaker is a delicate. It's a goddamn time bomb. Regular engineering, the fucking circus? This time the look of contempt morphed into something else. Fear. He looked like he wanted to retort, but I wasn't having it. I get why you told me to leave last night. The ship is a fucking death trap. Garrett, calm yourself.
Easy, I think you told him off good.
I stared the bull down, reining in my temper. Joseph stared back with an incomprehensible expression, like he was seeing me in a new light. You're an engineer.
Joseph, what happened? Are you alright?
Oh, God.
What in God's name is going on? Where's all the ruckus? What's all the ruckus?
The pair of them appeared toward the top of the corridor, June sprinting toward us before throwing herself at Joseph.
Thank God! We didn't answer the radio,
She trailed off, her voice cracking as Joseph placed his hands on her back, patting her comfortingly. I'm fine, thank you, June. I'm fine, June, thank you. I suggest we regroup in the lounge and make sure everyone is accounted for. By the time we all arrived, Stefan, Aaron, Gail, and Tabby were all waiting for us. What happened?
What do you mean, what happened? Where were you? And Aaron, too, for that matter.
You too, Stefan. Why did none of you come up here to the lounge when the power went off? The three looked put on the spot before launching into defensive protests. I was sleeping. I'd like to take a siesta after lunch.
You've been asleep since lunch? I did come here. No one was here when I arrived, so I went back to the deck and found Gail and Tabby. It's true. Aaron found us and stayed with us. We came back indoors and the storm picked up, though.
Tabby still looks shaken. I bet she's been having the time of her life on this tub. Stefan? The air chilled as we heard the accusatory tone. Stefan looked affronted.
What? I took a nap as well. Is that a crime?
Are you also fond of taking post-lunch siestas? It was obvious Sharif didn't believe a word. But before they could start butting heads again, I interjected. June, how's the ship? Do we have control back? Oh, alright, y'all might go ahead and pause it right there. Ooh, man, mysteries abound. What is going on with the ship? So, I don't know. It looks like the ship is just poorly put together, maybe? I don't know. It's weird. Alright, anyway, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks, or if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.